Hello everyone, it's Richard Lewis here again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic that people keep telling me, you just won't shut up about it, you're obsessed, or whatever, but I think it's an important topic, it's worth discussing for what it says about the individual organization, and of course, esports holistically. And honestly, in all my years in esports, I've never seen anything as embarrassing as what has been going on over at this organization. I am, of course, talking about MiBR. That's going to be the topic of discussion today, because what they've done is they've completely changed the team. I mean, we don't know who the replacement's going to be, but we know people have left, and we know people have been cut, and we know their coach and manager's gone. And this suggests that finally they're going to take the changes necessary to get back to being competitive and professional. But that being said, they have released a statement thanking the players for their behavior, for their antics the past few months. I want you to think about all of the embarrassing results this team has put out, losing to teams 80th in the world. I want you to think about all the negative behavior they've engaged in, the petulant tantrums on social media, the cheating with the coaching bug, and how the MiBR brand has been horrifically devalued. You know, so the org has cut 2 players, Taco and Fur. They also removed coach and manager Dead as a, I would say a direct result of him being caught in the ESIC investigation, having used, or rather not disconnected from the coaching bug that was going around. KNG publicly called out the changes, so Fallen had to go one better, and the in-game leader said he's going to be leaving and doing something different with his time. So we don't even know what shape MiBR are in. Now, this should be outright condemnation from the community. But if you were the employers, if you were the Immortals group that bought this brand, and you have allowed these players to devalue your brand to this level, I would not be thanking them on the way out. I would be incandescent with rage, especially when you see ridiculous headlines like this. I just want to remind you that Dead himself, when the ESIC report on the coaching bug thing dropped, he was found to have not disconnected on 5 occasions, 5, not the 2 that we knew about, including qualifiers for the World Championship, the now cancelled CSGO major that would have took place in Rio. And he still maintains that he's never done anything to compromise the integrity of the game. Still maintains it. We've got him on video following people around with his camera, then saying to the admins, "Oh, whoopsie, I just didn't connect in time during that round. Can we just keep going?" We have got him co-owning a team that his organization MiBR are playing against, essentially their academy side, also in the the qualifiers for the World Championships. It's just an absurd lie, and it shows to me that these guys just haven't learned anything, will not learn anything, because their behavior just hasn't been challenged in any meaningful way. So when I saw MiBR finally address it, because the management of this org have been asleep at the wheel and let these players basically run this brand into the ground, I was expecting something a bit firm, a bit strong, and instead, what I got was this just unbelievably, it's so embarrassing that they've done this, and I want to show it to you in case you missed it. This is Ari Siegel, the new CEO of the Immortals Group. Hasn't said anything this entire time, and what they do is they come out and they do this video. I'll just show you the first bit here with it turned down. This is obviously all of the history of MiBR, all of the 1.6 stuff. It had absolutely nothing to do with any of this, by the way, the current ownership, but it's a way of evoking, this is the pedigree, this is the brand history, this is what we're about, this is what it stands for. And immediately I was like, where are they going with this? And it's just a bunch of corporate bullshit and an embarrassing display of cuckoldry from their new CEO.
Hi, my name is Ari Siegel. I'm the CEO of IGC, the parent company of MiBR. 2 years ago, we relaunched the MiBR brand, and we did it because we thought it was the most exciting brand opportunity in esports and competitive gaming. It's an amazing brand with great legacy, a legacy of championships and victories, amazing players, and most importantly, a vibrant, engaged, and passionate community. And we felt that by giving that brand a new voice and a new time with new backing, it could have this second life.
Now, I'll just translate all that corporate speak for you if you're incapable of doing it yourself. What he means there is there are a lot of these VC groups that wanted to come into the esports space and essentially activate areas of the world, communities that were underserved. So think, for example, Infinite, when they came in and they got Optic India. Now, India, as the people of India have got access to better computers and their overall level of affluence has gone up, esports has become a more desirable prospect for those people. They want events, they want teams, they want players to cheer. And India is a huge country, and it's the country that produced, I think, last year, the most billionaires in the world. If not, it's certainly in the top 3. And as a result, people want to get into that market, dominate that market share, and feel the benefits of earning the money as more and more esports fans are converted. It's very much the same in South America, and in particular Brazil. It's a huge market. We've seen with streamers like Gaules, the sheer volume of numbers. Another reason why his bad behavior has sort of been enabled by a lot of tournament organizers in the space is simply that it's hundreds of thousands of additional viewers. It's not worth isolating him by taking a moral stand for what's right. What they want is the viewership that they can put into a deck and show to a sponsor. That's more important than whether or not players have their lives threatened. So that's fine. That's the official stance of TOs in esports. So people want to activate the communities that are underserved in esports, so they can dominate the market when it finally blows up. And that's what the MiBR project was about from start to finish. They went way too deep. They got involved with all the Fallen side businesses when they brought them in. And this is one of the reasons why this group of players have been allowed to behave so terribly for so long, even to the detriment of the brand and the people that are signing their checks.
Unfortunately, we haven't achieved the competitive success that we'd hoped to over the last 2 years. But at the same time, from a brand and community perspective, the MiBR brand has never been stronger. And that's a tribute to you, the amazing fans who support MiBR everywhere that the brand is, whether it's at an event or online, in communication with our players and staff, and the content team via social media. You are everywhere the brand is, and we cannot thank you enough.
Now, this is absolutely absurd, and this is just pure CEO pandering, because let's be clear, to say the MiBR brand has never been stronger, and it's because of the fans, is probably the biggest lie, the most egregious lie you will actually hear in 2020. It eclipses anything any politician is going to say, because the reality is, not only has MiBR lost to terrible teams this year, not only do they now not have a team, essentially, they have lost all of the biggest name players in Brazil. They've left, including Fallen himself, the godfather of the Brazilian esports scene. And the behavior has been so bad that there are a lot of MiBR fans, just speaking anecdotally, that have moved across to Furia, who are A, better team, and B, much more professional. Contrast Dead's statement about how I never did anything wrong, I would never compromise integrity, to Guerry, who has I would say, a pretty compelling story that he didn't do anything wrong in the one instance he was called out for. And he just said, listen, I think Isak is doing a great job and I'll take my punishment on the chin and see you when I get back in 4 months or whatever it is. Furia are much better representatives of the Brazilian counterstrike scene than MiBR are, and probably ever will be again. So the idea that this brand is strong because they've somehow got all of these fans, it's ridiculous. How many fans do you think are going to stick around when the reality of you playing 5 relatively unknown Brazilian players comes back? How many people do you think leave with Fallen when he goes? I don't think KNG will stick around, frankly. And certainly Fur, Taco, these are big names. Now, they shouldn't be necessarily if we're going on behavioral and professional standards, but the reality is the fans will likely follow them to the ends of the earth, like they did when they went from Luminosity to SK, SK to MiBR, and now MiBR to wherever they end up next. So no, the MiBR brand isn't stronger than it ever has been. It is in the toilet. You know it as well. You're a businessman. I shouldn't have to tell you this.
Because of some of the competitive results, and despite sincere efforts on our part and the players' parts to make changes to the roster over time, we reached a difficult conclusion a few weeks ago that we needed to make more fundamental change. First, I want to thank Taco and Fur and Dead for their commitment not only to competitive Counterstrike, but to the MiBR brand. They've lived that brand. They felt the responsibility to perform and to fulfill the desires and ambitions of that brand and to serve you, the fans. We thank them very sincerely for all of their efforts over the last few years.
So I guess maybe, sure, you can thank them for their efforts over the last few years. I would go as so far as saying as MiBR has never been good. It's been going steadily downhill from day one. And actually, to all the people that criticized the MiBR version with Stewie and Tarek, if you're an MiBR fan, don't you miss that lineup. I bet you do, because they were at least relevant in World Counter-Strike, which MiBR most certainly aren't now, and probably won't ever be again unless they are able to find another 2 or 3 unbelievably talented players that no one's heard of. Don't hold your breath for that outcome. But to thank them predicated on the last few months of what they've been doing, to thank them when Taco has played absolutely abysmally. He has been awful for, I'd say, about 12 months. But also his behavior on social media has been absolutely ridiculous and childish and petulant, and he has made you kind of stand out as being not a particularly pleasant team. The same for Fur. You're going to thank somebody who 2 days after you released a statement saying Black Lives Matter and how you want esports to be this bridging thing, he makes negative statements about people that have the genetic qualities of Africans living in Brazil. I can't even fathom how you would thank them for that. I simply cannot. And this is weakness. This is just spinelessness. That you are so intent on trying to retain the fan base, you're going to sit there and look into a camera with a straight face and thank these players for their behavior. Ridiculous.
You should know that these guys took very seriously the responsibility that they had to wear this brand into competition every day and to be part of MiBR and to wear this flag. And they did that because of all of you and the passionate support from Brazil for MiBR really over the last 15 years. As we move forward, though, we know that we need to make more fundamental change. And change is always hard. It's never easy. We've all made efforts, the org, the players, the staff, to try to make changes to the roster along the way that would allow us to continue to compete and improve and perform at the level that we expect and that you, the fans, deserve. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out. We are working every day on plans to reshape and reconstitute the roster, to put in place a staff, and also a structure that will allow MiBR to perform at the level that we expect and that you, the fans, deserve.
Now, this is complete bullshit as well, because if you look at what their roster plans were and how that was being enacted over the, however many years it's been, it was basically, we retained this core of players. You went back on your previous CEO, Noah Winston's pledge to the fans, back when it was Immortals, that KNG would never represent them again for his negative antics, which include threatening a player's life at an event, which he's never been punished for, and homophobic slurs on Twitter. Again, apologies. We all know his apology wasn't even genuine and was written by somebody within your organization. So you can talk about bringing him back as one thing and how ridiculous that is. But let's just talk about what your plans actually were. For however long as Fallen has been in charge, basically what Fallen says goes. You brought in players that Fallen wants, which are then served up as a scapegoat every time the team does poorly. When everybody could see that actually Taco wasn't playing particularly well, but hey, he's Fallen's bro, right? So he gets to stick around. KNG goes missing in big games. No problem, I guess. We have to pretend that's not a thing. And on top of that, bring in a coach, maybe. I mean, how many years are we going to watch your team fail to adapt to the meta, fail to adapt to being able to play Nuke and Inferno? But no, you want Dead around. Again, Fallen's mate, the manager who isn't a coach. He's a coach in name. He's a coach in that he gets to go on the server. He's a coach in the sense that he gets to stand behind the team. But we all know he's not really a coach. It's a well-established fact that he's not sat there telling the guys how to play. Fallen does it all. So don't say to the fans, because if you do care about the fans, don't insult their intelligence by lying to them. Don't say to the fans, oh, actually, yeah, we had all these plans and we were doing all this and we wanted to get a staff around them. No, what you did is you let Fallen run MiBR into the ground. And that's on you, by the way. You shouldn't be sat there thanking the players for that. You should be sat there apologizing to the fans for enabling that behavior.
What we'll commit to, for sure, is that we'll keep you apprised of developments as they happen so that you feel part of the process. MiBR is a community, if nothing else, and we want you to be part of the journey as MiBR reconstitutes and then rebuilds and ultimately achieves the success that it has always achieved and that, again, you deserve. We appreciate your support, we appreciate your patience, and I cannot tell you enough how sincerely it's been an absolute pleasure to see the passion for the MiBR brand over the last 2 years. We will never be satisfied because we know you will never be satisfied.
Been satisfied for 2
years. We look forward
years.
to working together over the next weeks and months to bring this brand and this team to where it needs to be. And we're excited to get there with you. Thank you.
And there we go, back to pandering to the fans on the way out. Now, I must be losing my mind, because it seems to me that if you were a CEO and you'd had all of these headlines, this is after Fallen has walked out of the team. Why haven't you talked about that? Why aren't you addressing that? Why aren't you explaining what's going on there? Why haven't you said whether or not he's still under contract with you guys and he is going to stick around and we've been having some problems? No, you're just not going to talk about it, are you? Why haven't you talked about Dead and the fact that he's been embroiled in this cheating scandal and he's been banned and he's saying, oh, it's not on me, and it clearly is. Like, are you thanking him for all of his efforts? Are you, like... It's just absurd. Like, the statement says absolutely nothing except we're going to stick around. We love the fans. We hope the fans love the brand. Trust me, your numbers are down after this. As soon as this team goes, the fans go. That's the reality of esports. I can tell you that assuredly. And you should know that because you have picked up the players that the fans have followed from org to org. They're not sticking around because you have the word Brazil in the brand name. Trust me on that, okay? So this CEO statement, this is why I don't like it in general when CEOs like kind of make it about them. I always thought it was a little bit funny when Noah Winston would be like, hey, it's Noah here or whatever. I always thought that was a little bit whack, frankly. I understand why some CEOs do it, though, especially ones that are kind of like definitely synonymous with a really old school brand or whatever. But this is an example of MiBR should have been doing this way sooner, way more regularly, and actually providing answers and explanations with substance. This is nonsense. This is throwaway garbage to try and placate the fan base who are all about to leave a dying brand, much like all of the players that contributed to it being a dying brand in the first place. So there you go. Turns out MiBR, still an embarrassment. Let me know what you think about them. Maybe you're an MiBR fan and you've come to say Corralho to me. Please leave your thoughts down in the description, because maybe you can explain to me how MiBR have a future after this. I'd love to get your opinion, honestly. Follow me on all of that stuff that just flashed up on the screen. Comment for the algorithm. Stick a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I don't care which. It's all engagement. And I'll catch you on the next video. Much love.